Welcome in A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Wednesday, August the 27th. We are happy to have you for another edition of the Prime Time program. We have a little bit of news that we were not expecting to talk about tonight. We're going to spend most of the night talking about waiver claims, and we probably still will. But there is a bit of news that happened right about 7 o'clock, as a matter of fact, and that's the Titans came out with their 7 captains this year for the upcoming 2025 season. And it was big news, apparently, that Cam Ward is going to be a captain, which to which I laughed and said the the bigger story would be if Cam Ward wasn't voted a captain. That would be a much bigger story indeed. But you know, we can go through these things at length because there is some significance to being the first rookie named a captain in the better part of a decade. It's been quite some time since the Titans have had one such individual, or at least a rookie, that was going to start as many snaps as Cam Ward expects to start in 2025. So we'll get to that. We'll talk about the waiver claims today because the waiver claims are the vastly more important situation, and we'll do a little rising and falling. TK says, I thought you was heading to Germany. No, I will be heading to Germany. I thought you was heading to Germany. I'm going to Germany on Friday. And then I'll be back on Monday. It's a quick turnaround, but we're just going to hang out with Jelly Roll for a concert. And it should be a good time by all. In fact, if I really wanted to get fined on the radio show this week, I would read you the itinerary that Jelly has for us when I get over there to Munich to go see him in post play. But we don't have to get into that because I am sure I'll spend enough time talking about it when I get at home from the Munich, Milan, Paris, 3 cities in 2 days jaunt that I'm preparing to undertake. But that's neither here nor there. We're here to talk about the Titans and the waiver claim process this evening. Share the broadcast around Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You know the routine. If you would be so kind as to participate there, we would be happy if you did that. We would also be happy if you liked the video as you jump in here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. Benjamin Buck says, wait, you're a groupie now? Hell yeah. I'll be a groupie. Groupie life sounds pretty good. At the risk, I don't know that I should show you my text messages, but the man texted me drunk outside of the Coliseum, eating a lovely meal, it seems, with his wife Bunny outside of the Coliseum, asking me, this I'm comfortable sharing because he's one of you, okay? And I mean that in the most derogatory way possible. This man is in Europe for the first time because he's a pardoned felon, and the only reason that he was able to go is because he got the pardon, right? And that's a big deal. And we're very happy for him. He's touring with Post Malone, and he's absolutely kicking ass, and it's a really, really cool thing. Really cool thing. And where he hasn't had a phone in like 2 years, so I guess he got a phone for the European trip. And he sent me a text the other day outside the Coliseum, eating dinner with his lovely wife Bunny, with the Coliseum in the background. Sent me a selfie. And you know what that man texted me in the middle of the night, eating a meal outside the Coliseum, first time in Europe, as a pardoned felon, touring with Post Malone. He said, "Did Xavier Restrepo make the roster?" And I wanted to scream. I wanted to scream. I wanted to scream to the high heavens. What are you doing? Go pay attention to what's going on in Europe, not who made the Titans' initial 53-man roster. I mean that in the most derogatory way possible. He is absolutely one of you people, which is crazy. But he also, in doing so, we don't have to get into the nuts and bolts of this. We'll talk about the waiver claim here in a second, but just to put a bow on it, he invited me over for the shows, and I'm like, well, it's either this weekend, because this is my last weekend before football season starts, or it is the bye week, which is in week 10. And I looked at the bye week. They're between Europe and Australia, so they're not actually playing any dates in November. So I said, this is really the only weekend that I could go. I looked at flights at Munich, and I said, all right, fuck it, I'll go to Munich. Excuse my language. I'll go to Munich, and I'll go hang out with Jelly Roll, and it'll be a great time. And there's very few opportunities to do something like that. And he was very kind to invite me. So, hell yeah, I'm going to be a groupie for the weekend. It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Apparently, we're going to catch the Drake show in Milan and then go see his WWE performance in Paris. And then I'm coming right home. And we're covering football season. But we can share more details on that when we get back from said European jaunt. All right. Let's start the show. Jared Stillman's burner says humble brag. No, it's not humble at all. I'm very not humble, even remotely humble. I've never, ever in my life pretended to be humble. No, that's just a brag. That's just what that is. Anyway, welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time. On this beautiful Wednesday night, I'm your host, Buck Rising, not humble, and proud as always to be presented to you by the wonderful people at Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, online at tworiversford.com. Quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service on offer. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more details. True Math Fitness in the Gulch, truemathfitness.com is where you go if you want to make sure that you maximize your fitness goals. You want to get in good shape. You want to make sure that your health and your wellness are prioritized. True Math Fitness will help you accomplish that and make sure that you are in position to succeed on a specific program for you. TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free. It just has never got humble for Buck. Never once in my life. Even when I wasn't anybody to, and I'm still not anybody, but even before I was less than anybody, never humble. Never a day in my life. For what? That's no fun. Anyway, so it is humility that you get from Cam Ward. Cam Ward, I think, Cam Ward is not braggadocious or over the top, cocky in a sense, but he is confident, right? I do think that there are components of his game that has humility to it, and I also think that there's a great self or belief in self that some people might construe as cocky, or if more appropriately, you would view as confidence, the kind of confidence that this team needs. Joseph Grateful points out, before I was somebody, before you got the money. That's right. The money. Love the money. Big fan of the money. Love money. Anyway. Cam Ward is someone who is voted a captain, the first Titans rookie captain since Marcus Mariota was in 2015. Now, the correlation there is obviously number one draft picks at quarterback. And Cam Ward is the number one overall draft pick. Marcus was the number two overall draft pick. It's an honor for Cam, certainly. People are treating it like it's huge breaking news on the internet. And I, just to be an asshole because I couldn't help myself, I had to respond to Tom Pelissero's tweet. Schefter tweeted about it. Garofalo tweeted about it. Rap Sheet, Pelissero, all the, top level NFL newsbreakers. And because I couldn't help but be a shit, I said, well, Will Levis was a captain his first year too. And not realizing that the internet would not realize that I'm talking about Will Levis's first season as a starter, as opposed to Will Levis's rookie year. And then people were like, you don't know anything. He wasn't a captain as a rookie. Tannehill was. Yeah, I know. His first year as a starter, he was a captain. My point with all of that is that it's ceremonial more than anything, but it can still be an honor to them, and it can still mean something to them. But to treat it as big breaking news is to treat the Travis Kelce Taylor Swift thing as big breaking. It's like, okay, it would be an upset if they didn't, right? It would be a bigger story if Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift didn't get engaged. It would be a bigger story if Cam Ward wasn't named a captain. It would be kind of crazy in this particular sense. So I think that there are a couple of different. Curtis says it's the biggest news since the Pope. Oh, that's right. We do have a Pope. We do have a new Pope. He's an American. I completely forgot about all that. I should know that. I'm Catholic. In name, I suppose. No offense or no shots fired if you are a practicing religious person. I'm working on Sundays. Anyway, so with it's the biggest news since the Pope, says Curtis. Okay. Well, yeah, I think that there's a couple there is something to the idea of a rookie captain, because again, they haven't had a rookie captain since 2015. But the correlation there is the quarterback. Like, if the quarterback is not a captain, then you're looking around and being like, all right, why isn't he a captain? What's wrong with him? What does he not lead? Do his teammates not respect him? Does his coaches not respect him? Like all these other things, and it becomes a much bigger story than it actually is. So again, the story is not that Cam Ward was voted a captain. The story would be if Cam Ward wasn't voted a captain. But it's all well and good. There's nothing wrong with celebrating that. Congratulations to Cam at this point in time. Now, Benjamin says, let's see how Cam does when he has a bad game and they're getting their butt kicked. I'm not worried about him that way. And I'm not going to pretend to know the dude super well. I haven't done a one-on-one interview with Cam. We've done a couple of different things. We've done a couple of different things in like press conference settings and stuff like that. What I know of Cam, I've watched, I've learned, I've listened. And I expect to get to know him better over the course of his career here. I expect he'll be here for quite some time if all of these things go to plan. Now, if shit blows up and this becomes a whole nightmare, then we can cross that bridge when we get to it. But there's no sense in talking about that right now. Cam Ward is equipped, I think, to handle all the responsibilities that come with this job. He's done it at several different spots in his collegiate career, and he's done it at a reasonably high level, enough to be the number one overall pick to his credit. I'm not worried about his attitude. Like Levis, if he has a bad play, not even a bad game, if he has a bad play, you're worried about it, right? Because that's the mental component of this entire situation. That's the kind of thing that you stress about. Quickly before I forget, and we'll keep it rolling here in just a second. Your Two Rivers Ford. Well, we'll get to your Two Rivers Ford take anyway, but the primetime show is made possible by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, quality American-made Ford vehicles, and award-winning customer service on offer. No pressure on you throughout the course of the car buying experience. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com for more details. The South's most trusted Ford dealer. All right. I think that when you talk about the situation for the Titans, the more important thing, Cam Ward being a captain, is interesting. What was important, and I know I use that a lot, but I do think it's one of the best ways to categorize conversation. Is it important or is it interesting? That's a line from Mike Vrabel that Mike Vrabel stole from Ron Rivera the year that Mike Vrabel was getting ready to win Coach of the Year in 2021. And he was asked about the Coach of the Year candidacy, whatever, and all these different things. And what was important that year was the Titans survived and made it to the number one overall seed. And Mike Vrabel being Coach of the Year was not an important thing, but it was an interesting thing. Cam Ward being a captain is an interesting thing. It's interesting enough. It's interesting enough to get you through the first 10 minutes of a streaming show, right? What's important is all the roster transactions that came down the line today. And I think that when you talk about all the different things that you saw the team do today, specific with the waiver claims, where they signed 14 players to the practice squad, where they released a handful of players that maybe you didn't expect them to release, one in particular, like Corey Levin, the backup center there, who also expects to be. I know he wasn't announced on today's practice squad transactions, but I would expect him to be on the practice squad transactions tomorrow, given that they only have 14 announced practice squad players right now. Jeff Haynes says, why didn't the Titans get a backup quarterback in waivers today? Because they're not really that bent out of shape. If you don't want a better backup quarterback, if Cam Ward goes down, you want to lose games. And I know that's a weird thing to say, and I know it runs counter to how most of you are wired, and I get it. But like, if the number one overall pick is injured and not playing for your football team, lose. Like, you can try to win, and I respect that. And you can throw Brandon Allen out there, and I'll have no doubt that Brandon Allen will give it his best effort. But I hope he loses. You should hope he loses, because you want a better draft pick if Cam Ward isn't playing. The only thing that matters is Cam Ward in 2025. Anything and like the things that you will build upon, the year one and year two players that you're going to rely heavily on. There's a bunch of them: Jarvis Brownlee, Femi Oladejo, Kevin Winston Jr. Who else are we talking about? Year one, year two players. I guess J.C. Latham's a year two player. Skoronski is going to be in year three, currently in year three at this point in time. There is they should have no interest in upgrading the backup quarterback position. And also there's something to a coach wanting a player who he knows, and he knows Brandon Allen. Brian Callahan knows Brandon Allen and trusts Brandon Allen well enough, and they have Trevor Siemian on the practice squad, and that's fine. Like, it's really not that much better out there. DeVito? DeVito's going to change the trajectory of your franchise in 2025? Of course not. It's nonsense. But I understand why it's counterintuitive. Like, you should want to upgrade every position on the roster, except that one, because that one's not going to help you. In fact, it would hurt you more than it would help you if you got a better backup quarterback than the backup quarterback situation that you currently have. Benjamin Buck says, get the first overall pick again and trade the pick. I don't care what you do. I mean, I care that you're competitive. I care that you look better and that you have things to build upon in 2025. That is the most important thing. And if you do it around Cam Ward, obviously, that is the thing that is going to be studied, scrutinized, talked about, discussed. Winning or losing games on aggregate, I'm not going to say that it doesn't matter, but I want to see that they're competitive. I want to see that they've taken a step forward with the quarterback position and that they can then take a further step forward when they have a better roster around Cam Ward. This year is not, you're not going to the Super Bowl in 2025. I don't think I'm breaking any news to you that way. But the waiver claims. So let's talk about the guys that they added. So all 4 on defense, 2 corners, 1 linebacker, 1 defensive lineman. So the quarterback that that Robert brought to my attention yesterday, who I appreciated him doing that because there ended up being a really good correlation there, is Jalen Armour-Davis, who is a player that was with Denard Wilson when Denard Wilson was still the secondary coach of the Ravens. He's missed, he's played in only 15 games in the last 2 seasons because he's had a couple of different injuries, and that's fine. He had an early IR stint last year, dealing with some hamstring stuff. He's missed some time early on in his career. And in fact, Robert, if I'm not mistaken, this is year 4 for Jalen Armour-Davis. He's playing Dungeons and Dragons right now. He's not paying attention to me. I can see him talking to his Dungeons and Dragons teammates in the background. Should we throw him on the screen just to bother him? I would, but he's probably saying something wildly inappropriate, and I don't feel like getting him canceled tonight because I don't want to have to go find another producer. But Jalen Armour-Davis, Dorian Mausi, Mausi. I haven't found the correct pronunciation on that just yet. CJ Ravenel, another Ravens cast-off, and Samuel Womack III. So Jalen Armour-Davis, Samuel Womack, the 2 corners, Dorian Mausi, the linebacker, CJ Ravenel, 6'5", 240 is CJ Ravenel. So he's going to play defensive end. They released Corey Levitt. They also signed defensive tackle, for those of you who are Tennessee Vols fans. They signed Shai Tuttle. They waived Timmy Horn, Curtis Jacobs, Gabe Judy Lally, and John Ojukwu at this point. And then they put together the practice squad. Mason Kinsey, you can't kill him. He's a roster cockroach. He's still here. Mason Kinsey is back on the practice squad. 14 total players. Kendall Brooks, Cam Horsley, Jermar Jefferson, Mason Kinsey, Isaiah Rakes, Restrepo, practice squad, Andrew Rupchich, offensive lineman. They also put on the practice squad with an exception, Ali Gay and Jordan Mims. And then the vets on the practice squad, Amani Oruwariye, the corner, James Prochet, so he's back, Trevor Siemian, Carlos Watkins, and the exemption that Thomas Odukoya gets for an international pathway player. So he has an exception that he's on your practice squad, but he technically doesn't count on your practice squad. Curtis says, can Bert give us a review of the former Ravens players? No, he's not paying attention. He's playing Dungeons and Dragons. Or can you hear me now? Are you paying attention at this point? Because I saw you having a conversation that was not our conversation.
What do you mean? I'm allowed to talk to myself.
Did you straighten your hair?
I got it washed today. I went to the barber shop.
You look like
I just hadn't put it up. Huh?
Like Trevor Lawrence's ugly brother.
I'm cool with that. I bet that dude gets laid a lot. Isn't he an artist? Yeah, Trevor Lawrence's brother is like a big artist. He drew a bunch of cards for Panini and like exclusive Trevor Lawrence collection.
Oh, really?
I bet that guy gets play. I'll take that.
Okay, I'm happy for you.
What did this cat want?
He wants to know about the Ravens players that they signed.
CJ Ravenel, nice size shape, dude. He's like 6'5", 305, something like that. You could kind of use him everywhere, but kind of raw. Came from, I believe, the FCS level. Was on the Ravens practice squad all last year. Kind of flashed in the first preseason game they had, but then subsided. He's a solid player, solid depth. Like guys that, I mean, he's better than Carlos Watkins, those kind of guys. And he's young. You have him for another year after this. Kind of the benefit of claiming him. Jalen Armour-Davis, on the other hand, he will be a free agent after the year. But that's kind of the Titans' benefit, where they can play this by ear. They don't have to hold a leash and worry about him performing after this year. And you know what? If he does well and goes and signs, you get a comp pick. But with him, not as long arms as you would want, but an aggressive dude, a smart dude, somebody that Zach Orr and the defensive coach, I can't remember what his name was, or his name is right now, but was praised as the smartest guy in the DB room. You can probably find that quote on Twitter if you search it. But the smartest guy is not always the best guy, but not a bad guy to have in your room, especially with a bunch of other young corners. Jalen, his biggest problem was couldn't stay healthy, but looked the best that he's ever looked in these preseason games.
And you mentioned that the Ravenel guy had a bunch of pressures in the preseason because he didn't register a regular season snap last year.
Yeah, I think he led the preseason with it's either 7 or 9, a high single digit odd number. Don't ask me why I know that, but yeah, he had a solid preseason. But I think he also fits that size mold that that Denard Wilson is looking for, where it's like your Draymond Jones is a bigger body outside linebacker. This dude is like a bigger body 3 technique, 5 technique. He can line up on the outside of the tackle. He can line up with the inside of the guard. Like he can play both of those. And Shy's a nice swing of that too, right? Giving you good depth behind Sweat. Where when Sweat plays, I think it was impressive. He played like 55, 60% of the snaps last year on defense. Now
699 defensive snaps for Sweat.
super impressive. Like him and Jordan Davis, people talked a lot of shit about oh, they're not gonna look how many snaps they played in college, like they're fat ass, and they came out here and did it. So credit to them, but you will be able to spell them, and Sweat will be able to operate at a better level. That's the benefit of those guys, especially since they're on the active roster. Like they'll probably be playing for you week 1, as long as they're not on inactives. But I do have to get back to this Dungeons and Dragons game.
I know you were locked in on your football dialogue because I've thrown up several comments referencing you, and you weren't paying attention at all.
I want to know what site you use for D&D. No free shout outs, but there is an AI dungeon master called Old Greg's Tavern, and it will just answer your questions and fill out your world. It's a lot of fun. But other than that, we'll just play like grown men, rolling dice, keeping track of math on little pieces of paper. Burgess White Jesus. Oh, no. Oh, I could talk about Ravens all day, dude. Don't get me started.
I'm well aware. Get off my screen. One of the most fun times that Robert and I have had is sitting around Little Hats, eating chicken parm sandwiches and talking about Daryl Smith, the former Jags linebacker that ended up going to the Ravens. Because for some reason, my knowledge of the mid-2000s Ravens is excellent, better than any other team that I've ever paid attention to in my life. And that, of course, is Robert's wheelhouse. So this is the biggest takeaway here is the cornerbacks. They brought in a bunch of cornerbacks, bunch of different guys to play corner this year. UDFAs, they brought in a bunch of corners. Free agents, they tried to bring in corners. They waived or cut all of them that weren't already here, and then brought in two players with the waivers that they wanted to prioritize. And apparently, and this was pointed out by this was pointed out by Mike Garafolo earlier on Twitter. Let me find the tweet. New Titans quarterback Jalen Armour Davis was a popular guy on waivers. The Eagles, Saints, and Dolphins also put in claims for the former Ravens defensive back, but Tennessee had the number one priority. Tennessee also put a priority on Samuel Womack, the other corner that they added. The Browns put in a claim for the former Colts defensive back. So the two guys that you put out there or that you ended up adding were popular for a couple of different reasons. Chumbo says, why are they seriously ignoring edge? You don't have, who are you going to put? Who are you going to add? Like, they're not seriously ignoring it. One, good players aren't out there. Who's the best edge player that you can sign? So Darius Smith, he don't want to play for you. He wants to win a ring. He's going to play for somebody else. Unless you're going to pay him a bunch of money, which we talked about last time. They're not ignoring it. There's not players out there that they were at, nor should you be spending $12 million on Zadarius Smith for 1 year on a at best 7 or 8 win football team. Like 8 wins would be crazy. If they won 8 games this year, that would be nuts. Tennessee Tactical says that opening day is coming up fast, but can this group be good enough in Denver? Good enough to win? I mean, I wouldn't bet them. You might bet them to cover. I don't know. Week one's wonky, certainly. But yeah, I mean, are they good enough to field a roster? Sure. Are they good enough to win? They're not going to be favored in a single game. They may be favored in one of those Colts games. Who else do they play? They play the Patriots are kind of stinky. They may be favored in the Patriots game too. I bet they're not. I bet they don't end up being favored in that Patriots game. We'll see what both teams look like by the time we get to week 7, but no, they're not. I don't think that they would win is what I'm trying to say. If that is your question, then no, I don't think that they're good enough to win in Denver, but good enough to be competitive. That's the whole point of this offseason. They're trying to stay in games more. They're trying to be more competitive. If they lose by 2, go on the road, week 1, hold their own, put up a good fight, make Denver sweat it a little bit. No moral victories because you want to win the game. But it would be better than them getting dog walked when they went to Detroit, or just laying down like choking dogs in the second half of Buffalo, or getting their doors blown off in Washington, like all these shitty games that they weren't even in 2024, right? Like their hope is to be better. The bar is low. They were the worst last year. We will see what happens there. Andrew Brown says Denver is winning the AFC West. You heard it here first. Yes, you are going to be the only person we hear it from, because that is ridiculous. The Chiefs had a down year last year and won 15 games and played in the Super Bowl. So no, I'm going to hedge my bets against that. And the person who asked that question earlier says, I appreciate it, Buck. I just want to see them show some fight. Yeah, again, playing one-score games. Give yourself an opportunity to win. Give yourself an opportunity to win, right? That's all you can ask. If the score is within 3, you're giving yourself an opportunity to win. If the defense isn't getting nuked by the special teams, you're giving yourself an opportunity to win. If the offense isn't getting wrecked because the quarterback has 34, or rather, how many individual turnovers? 18 individual turnovers for Will Levis last year, 34 turnovers in total for the Tennessee Titans, including special teams, offense, and so on and so forth. That's you're just trying to make your margins for success. You're trying to win within the margins as much as humanly possible, because you're not going to be the more talented roster on the field. Like, you guys know this. I think at your core, even if you're, hopeful and wish and wanting and wishing and all these different things, I think most of you are realistic. You're not going to be the better roster on paper on the field, but can you win within the margins? Can you clean up your hidden yardage on special teams? All these different things that just absolutely killed you last year, that were the reason that you were as bad as you were, because you weren't just bad for one reason. You weren't just bad because of Will Levis. You were bad because of Will Levis and special teams and injuries and penalties and all manner of other shit, right? You were bad across the board. It wasn't just one thing, even if the quarterback was the biggest reason why you struggled last year. Can you clean up some of those things to put yourself more in games? That's all that this year is about, and then take another step forward in 2026. Corey Show says, from worst to first, tighten up, fools, AFC champs. Okay, well, that's stupid. Like, that's just unrealistic. Even, and Corey may be joking around, or maybe he's serious, which in that case, it's stupid. Like that, you're setting yourself up for failure if you're not realistic about how this football team needs to go about this. You can be good. It's going to take you some time, some work, some progress, some effort to get there, some fortification. Don't be dumb. Don't fool yourself into thinking this is something that it's not. Realize where they are, understand what it's going to take to get there, look at other teams who have done it successfully, and try and replicate that formula with your own personnel, with your own winning formula as much as humanly possible. Don't say dumb shit like from worst to first, tighten up, fools, AFC champs. That's stupid. It's just stupid. Anyway, Zach Lawrence says, when I first started watching you, Buck, I hated how you talked about the Titans, thinking you were a hater. Years later, I realized I was mad how correct you were, and I was in denial. Well, it's like, I get that, because it's shitty to hear about how bad your football team is. And you don't want to hear it from somebody who doesn't, root for or against your football team. That way, it would be very, very easy to take that tone. And I will tell you, I hate a lot of the dumb shit that they've done. They were an AFC power. It wasn't the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Bills. You were beating the Bengals. You were better than the Bengals. You were the Bengals before the Bengals got here with Joe Burrow. You were beating the Bills. You had a winning record against Josh Allen and the Bills. You were holding them down. You were competing with the Chiefs and the upstart Ravens at the time, and you beat them too in the divisional round, to Robert's chagrin. Like, I'm a hater of how badly they nuked themselves. So you are correct. Like, I hate the dumb shit that they've done. I hate bad football, and they've done both of those things in the last couple of years. So, like, I totally understand why some of you guys don't like my tone or all that, but like, it frustrates me. It doesn't frustrate me as much as I'm sure it frustrates you, because at the end of the day, I don't have a rooting interest, right? My rooting interest is the team good enough or bad enough to do good shows? Like, that's what my rooting interest is. And also, can we make enough money for the sponsors and all these different things like that? My interest is self-involved, but I also get frustrated that way about the same things that you all get frustrated for or frustrated with for different reasons. And it's completely understandable why some of you would tell me to, kick rocks and you hope I stub my toe on the way out of the way out of the office today. I get it. I really, really do. And sometimes I say shit just to bother people, like I did today on Twitter about Cam Ward being a captain. Okay. Benjamin Buck says, yeah, losing team, people check out. No, really, they really didn't. Like, especially the harder that I went at them, the more that it seemed that people would like either get mad at me or get mad at the football team and engage more. Like there's good media stuff to be, or maybe not good. Good's not the word that I should use. There is engaging media content to be done with bad football teams. Now, ideally, you would like them to not have their season over in the third week of the season because they were done after that Packers game last year. And that sucked. That was terrible. That was absolutely terrible. YouTube user says, Buck is cheeky today. Am I cheeky? Do my cheeks look fat? Do they look rosy? I don't know what cheeky means. Cheeky meaning like, what's the word? Spicy. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I'm in a good mood. I think I slept well for the first time, I think, in 10 years last night. Like, it's crazy what not turning your TV on before or as you go to bed or staring at your phone. I read my book for the first time as I fell asleep, and then I lost my place because I dropped my book on me, and then I woke up at 6 a.m. with my book on top of me and not remembering where my place was. But like, I think I slept well for the first time in like 10 years. That's nice. This is why I feel so good. So why I'm so feisty today, we'll say. I've got a little more energy than I usually do. I'm sure this trip this weekend will knock the shit out of me anyway. I see you, Major Keys, and I will neither confirm nor deny that particular comment, but we're living right, is what I will say to you. All right. That is going to do it for us tonight. And Bert's making faces at me. Go play your Dungeons and Dragons. Get out of here. Is that going to do it for us tonight? No, we didn't hear from Denard Wilson about the defensive backs. Let's hear from Denard Wilson about the defensive backs, because those are the ones that you spent the afternoon prioritizing.
For me, I believe press or less. Like, I want them to line up, and I want them to be in front of receivers and challenge the receivers. Ultimately, in this game, if you get free access, it's easy for the quarterbacks to complete balls. So what I do is I want to create hesitation at the line of scrimmage and make them earn it the hard way. Make them earn it, throw the 50-50 ball. But everything else, we're going to challenge.
How do you approach that? Do you leave it open to them to do it, or it's you telling them?
From day one, we press everything.
When guys.
So that is Denard Wilson speaking today. I think. Oh, I was about to climb up the back of my chair. So that's Denard Wilson talking about the kind of corners that you're looking for. That was before, Robert, you said that was before last year's preseason. He's playing Dungeons and Dragons. He's not paying attention. But it was last year at some point. It was either before the regular season or before the preseason. Luke Corbett says, we must know the book that I'm reading The Autocrat of the Breakfast Table. It's a really old book that is probably not for the faint of heart in terms of like the language. It's a book by Oliver Wendell Holmes that I think was first published in 1858, if I remember correctly, and has been republished several times. It's definitely a read that you gotta like buckle down on. You know what I'm saying? But I really enjoy it. I think it's really smart. I started reading it the other day because I was watching a show on, is it HBO or Netflix? HBO, called The Gilded Age, and I really like that time period in American history. But yeah, The Autocrat of the Breakfast Table is the book that I'm reading by Oliver Wendell Holmes, first published in 1858. I'm really enjoying it. I've got a bunch of books that I have to get to at this point. I've just been stacking them on my bookshelves around the house for years and years and years without actually reading them. So I've decided that that's probably a better way to help me sleep and to cut down on my blue light exposure. But I would recommend it. It's a tougher read. It's probably tougher than most. It's not like this. Like, I've got this book that my stepdad got me a couple of years ago, which is giant and just filled with pictures from the 50. This was the Super Bowl 50 like coffee table book, Super Bowl gold, 50 years of the big game. It's just all pictures. Like it's just giant pictures as opposed to any words whatsoever. So it's not like, you know, the kids book, like the kids coffee table book that it might be an easier read. But like I said, you know, good for your vocabulary, the autocrat of the breakfast table. Anyway. Yeah, I think that's about all we got. Rising and falling. Do we want to do a rising and falling? What's my rising and falling, Bert? He's not paying a damn bit of attention to anything. Let's find. Oh, rising. Corey Levin was cut, but put back on the practice squad today, which means that Lloyd Cushenberry is healthy. So stock up on that in particular.
Day to get back.
Oh, what happened?
My timing back, starting to work my way back.
What'd you do exactly today?
Just Indy and a lot of running in between team periods, just trying to get my conditioning back to where it needs to be.
How long do you think?
Next step, probably just continue to do more Indy, and then go from there. Just work my way every day, just trying to day to day.
How long do you think that onboarding process, getting back will be for you?
I'm not sure. I'm just listening to what the training staff is telling me and what the coach's plan is. So I'm not 100% sure of the timeline, but I'm going to just work every day to get back.
So that is Lloyd Cushenberry speaking with us at joint training camp practices in Atlanta. And he's been participating in team stuff. Corey Levin being cut is good news because, one, Corey's back on the practice squad, so you still have a backup center. And two, you have a situation where Lloyd Cushenberry, who blew his Achilles out, is at least tracking towards week one, to his credit. I think that is something that you have to be reasonably excited about, reasonably encouraged by. We'll see if it actually ends up happening, but at least things are on the right track. Mike Bell says, who is Fox 5? Oh, that Fox 5 is in Atlanta because we were in Atlanta. We were at joint training camp practices, so I guess they came over to get some audio and video from some of the Titans players. I'm sure they had no idea that we were talking to a center that's been on injured reserve for a couple of months. Benjamin Buck says, watch out for pickpockets, Buck. Yeah, it's the last show before I go to Germany. Last primetime show. Easton's going to have you covered tomorrow. Mike Borgonza is going to speak tomorrow, so we'll have a press conference there. We'll carry it live on the radio show for you. It's going to be at 10 a.m. Titans are also having practice. Brian Callahan will speak at noon. I'm not going to stick around for practice or Brian Callahan. I'm going to come back to the radio show. Lucas and Robert are going to hold it down for the first segment while Borgonzi speaks, and then I'll come back. We'll do the rest of the radio show. As a result, I don't think it's that important for me to be at practice right now. It's really just stretch an individual, so we're not really learning a bunch of things. But yeah, I'm going to Germany on Friday, and because Benjamin says, "Watch out for pickpockets." There is no way for me to not sound like a douchebag when I say this, but I don't think that I'm going to be in public places, if that makes sense. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be being shuttled around with the band. Yeah, I could have said that less douchey, I'm sure, but I didn't. What are you going to do? All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. Have a great rest of your week. Easton will react to Mike Borgonzi's press conference with you tomorrow. I will be on the radio show tomorrow, and then, yeah, tomorrow's the last day. Tomorrow's Thursday. Tomorrow's the last day on the radio show, and then I will fly to Munich on Friday. So I'll get to Munich Saturday morning early. Jelly and Post are doing it's like an afternoon show at the Munich Olympic Stadium. It sounds sick. I was looking up the venue today, and then apparently we're going to jump on Jelly's plane. The PJ, we're going to take the PJ to Milan and go see Drake. And then that night, so I guess we're going to do the show during the day, go see Drake that night. Then at some point go to Paris because Jelly's doing a WWE thing in Paris. And I may not do the WWE thing because I may want to just come home. It's going to be a lot. But it's sick. And I really appreciate him inviting me. And yeah, I just can't help but sound like a douchebag about all this. Anyway. See you guys tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I'm going to shut up now.
Go home! Go home! Go home!